You know that feeling, right? When you're running on fumes and suddenly you're just not yourself. You're irritable, you're anxious, your emotions are all over the place. Well, it turns out it's not just about being tired. There's some serious science behind why a bad night's sleep can completely wreck your mood. It's a great question, isn't it? I mean, how can losing just an hour or two of sleep make you feel emotionally 10 times worse? It feels so dramatic, but it's not just in your head. There are real, profound things happening in your brain. And today, we're going to play detective and follow the clues to figure out exactly what's going on. So, for a lot of us, this is where the trouble starts. During the day, your brain is just go, 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 dealing with tasks, people, all sorts of distractions. But then, when everything gets quiet, that's when the anxious part of your mind gets the stage all to itself. Without all the noise of the day, those worries and racing thoughts can feel so much louder. Okay, for our first clue, we need to look inside the brain at two key areas that get thrown completely out of whack when you're sleep deprived. The best way to think about them is like an emotional gas pedal and a set of brakes. And here they are. On one side, you've got the amygdala. That's your gas pedal. It's that ancient, raw, reactive part of your brain that handles things like fear and anger. On the other side, you've got the prefrontal cortex. These are your brakes. It's kind of like the CEO of your brain, in charge of logic, reason, and keeping those emotional reactions in check. So here's the kicker. When you don't get enough sleep, that connection between your logical brakes and your emotional gas pedal, it gets weak. It's like the brake line gets cut. Studies have shown the amygdala goes into overdrive, while the prefrontal cortex gets sluggish. You're left with all gas and no brakes. And that's exactly why tiny little problems can suddenly feel like a massive crisis. And yeah, this imbalance has some very real effects. Science shows that when this happens, you react way more strongly to negative stuff. It's harder to feel happy. You might totally misread what someone's face is telling you. And, you basically lose control of your own mood. Does any of that sound familiar? But that emotional seesaw is only one piece of the puzzle. There's a much deeper system running the whole show, a kind of master clock that controls pretty much everything in your body. And that's our second clue. So let me introduce you to the SCN, or suprachiasmatic nucleus. I know, it's a mouthful. But this tiny little spot in your brain is incredibly powerful. It's the conductor of your body's orchestra. It lines up everything, your hormones, your body temperature, and of course, when you feel sleepy or awake, with the 24-hour day and night cycle outside. Its main cue? Light. Okay, so your sleep is basically run by two big forces. First, you have sleep pressure. Just think of it like this. The longer you're awake, the more this pressure builds up, making you need to sleep. Simple enough? But then there's the circadian clock, which is the signal from your master clock, the SCN. It tells your body when it's time to be tired. And when these two are out of sync, when your sleep pressure is sky high but your clock says, nope, not bedtime, you get that awful tired but wired feeling. So, we've seen what happens when the clock gets a little off kilter, but what happens when it really starts to break down? Well, there's a powerful real-world example of this that shows us just how vital this internal clock is for keeping us mentally stable. It's a phenomenon called sundowning. You often see it in people with dementia, and it's a really severe example of a messed up circadian rhythm. As the day ends and the light starts to fade, they can experience this huge spike in confusion, agitation, and anxiety. It's like a direct window into what happens when that master clock gets damaged. And the symptoms are really intense. Massive mood swings, pacing around, even paranoia. Now, obviously, this is an extreme case, but it shows us on a much bigger scale just how deeply our emotional stability is tied to the steady rhythm of that internal clock. And it's not a rare thing either. We're talking up to 45% of people with Alzheimer's dealing with this. The theory is that the disease itself may be directly damaging the SCN, literally breaking the body's master clock and causing all this emotional chaos. Okay, so let's recap our clues. We've got the emotional seesaw in the brain with the gas pedal floored and the brakes gone, and we've got the body's master clock getting thrown off schedule. So now, let's put it all together and see how this creates a vicious cycle that can be so hard to break. And this right here is the heart of the problem. It's a nasty feedback loop. You have a stressful day or your thoughts are racing, and that messes up your sleep. Then, that lack of sleep cuts your brain's brake line, making you way more emotional and way less able to handle stress the next day. Of course, that extra stress makes it even harder to sleep the next night, and around you go, spiraling down. But here's the good news. You are not powerless in this. Because it's a cycle, you can jump in and break it at a few different points. If you can protect your sleep and learn to manage your mind, you can start to turn this whole thing around. Let's look at a few strategies that are backed by science. First things first, you gotta give your brain really clear, consistent signals that the day is over and it's safe to power down. That's what a winding down routine is all about. And the key word here is routine. By doing the same calming things every night, you're literally training your brain to associate them with sleep. It helps get that master clock back on track. And second, you've got to deal with the mental chatter. If your mind is racing, don't just lie there and fight with it. Try getting those worries out of your head and onto a piece of paper. If you're feeling overwhelmed, bring your focus to something physical, like the feeling of your sheets or the sound of your own breathing. And maybe, most important of all, be kind to yourself. Fighting anxiety is like pouring gasoline on a fire. Just acknowledging it and gently reminding yourself that it's temporary can really take away its power. So, the next time you feel completely racked after a bad night's sleep, remember what's really going on inside. Your emotional gas pedal is slammed to the floor, your brakes have failed, and your body's master clock is haywire. And the main takeaway from all of this is so important. Sleep is not a luxury. It's not optional. It is essential. Fundamental maintenance for your mind so you can have the strength and the balance you need to handle whatever the day throws at you.